weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. We're all
Look
here.
at us, professionals.
It's that Paul Rudd gif. Hey, look at us.
Look
Hot
at
Ones.
us.
You remember that?
I don't.
Yeah.
Hot Ones is that show
Oh, you
where
love that.
people eat the...
I do love Hot Ones. Yeah, that's a great.
Well, you
another
bought
good
all the hot
podcast.
sauces.
I did one season. Yeah, we did it on vacation. We had a.
Wow. I can't
Contest.
believe you don't know the GIF though with Paul Rudd. That's legit my favorite one to send out.
What is it?
Hey,
What is it?
Hey, look at us. Who knew? Not me. It's just
It sounds very Paul Rudd.
It does,
it's very
yeah.
Paul Rudd,
yeah.
and it works in a lot of situations.
You don't
in
hear
my
a lot
experience.
of Paul Rudd impersonations, do you?
No.
No. That was a good one, I felt like.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you do the Hot Ones show? I feel like you would, Mark.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Would you?
I mean,
It's too
I
dangerous for
recreated
me.
it on my own
Yeah.
at the beach. I put Brandy's family through it all.
It's my hobby.
Yeah.
I do it
I
myself.
enjoy the pain of
I'm gonna
others.
do it after this.
Palate burner. You're a palate burner.
I
Yeah.
can't wait for lunch. I'm about to do it again. Yeah.
I recently brought in a hot sauce for Mark to try.
Yeah, I used it yesterday.
Oh, did you? Good.
I did.
What
Good.
brand? What flavor?
It is Tabasco Sriracha,
Oh.
and I think it's lovely. I enjoy it. I put it on my chicken and rice, and that's all so far. But
Sounds lovely.
yeah, it's good. It's Sriracha, but it's got that Tabasco kick to it.
Yeah.
So it is thick. It's
Yeah.
like a thicker
Yeah,
sauce.
it's a thicker sauce.
Okay.
You can't get the regular Sriracha.
Right.
What brand is that? How do you know how to say it?
Sriracha is the brand.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
I thought it was like, I thought there was a name.
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a shortage of it for years.
Because of the peppers. They can't
Yeah.
get the peppers,
Yeah.
apparently. So I've been looking for, well, I had to shoot.
Better stock up and sell it on eBay.
Well, you can't get the original stuff. So I've been looking for an alternative, and this stuff really was good. Rachel and I were at a Chinese buffet several months back, I think when I was on break. And they had the regular Sriracha that we're all used to seeing
Yeah.
on, stations on their buffet. And I wondered if those were real bottles
Yeah.
or they just saved the bottles and put an alternative.
Trader Joe's has a knockoff Sriracha.
Display.
It's not bad.
I was like, well, I found Sriracha ketchup
Yeah.
by that same brand
Yeah.
who makes the regular Sriracha.
Yeah.
And I ate it and I felt funny. I didn't feel right. So
Yeah.
I'm sensitive to like MSG
Mhm.
and I should have read the ingredients better. And there's MSG. It makes my heart pound.
Yeah.
Very odd. Like if I decide to eat any type of like soup, I need to get MSG free.
Yeah, my mom has a sensitivity. to
Yeah, it really messes with me quite a bit. So I went at like a 2-year period where I avoided every food because MSG is labeled monosodium glutamate, but they also hide it in words like natural flavor or spices. They can just put like a little dab of MSG in there, yeast extract.
Fresh.
Right, fresh, yeah, organic.
that. I guess the city,
All these words mean MSG.
I guess the town where they make Sriracha, like the factory, that was in the news a few years back that like the factory is problematic to the area because the pepper gets in the air.
Oh boy, yeah, of
And
course.
so like people, like you can't hang out around this factory where they produce Sriracha because it's just so heavy in the air that it can actually start to burn your eyes.
Wow, that sounds awful.
I can't imagine working in the building.
No, yeah, I don't know if goggles will do it.
Or maybe it's because they're pumping it all out of the building. They probably have.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
That sounds like a movie.
Do you cry when you cut onions, Chad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are there people that are not sensitive to
I've
that?
thought that there were people that were less sensitive to that. They say that it's drawn to moisture, so if you get yourself a wet paper towel and cut the onion on the wet paper towel,
Oh,
that whatever
sure.
gets thrown in the air gets sucked down into the paper
Yeah.
towel.
That is helpful.
If you look away, though, it makes a big difference.
Does it?
Like you can do things to, like if
Then
you
you can't
kind of
see where
turn
the
your
knife's
head.
cutting.
Kind of like sin.
Yeah. Great transition.
Yeah.
Professional transition.
I've often said that sin is like an onion.
Pastoral transition.
Yeah, that's right. Well, welcome to the Atrium. This is a Hope Christian Church podcast. My name is Neil. I'm the lead pastor here at Hope, and this man,
Nothing to add this time.
This man wandered in.
Oh,
this
man.
man,
This guy. I'm Chad. I'm the student pastor here, and you are?
I'm Mark. I'm the adult pastor.
episode 69. Episode 69.
There it is.
One under 70. It's a big deal. Yeah.
You've given up any cool nicknames for me
I don't know.
on this episode.
Well, you wear a lot of the same brand.
Yeah.
That one has a bird on it.
That one has a bird on it.
I like it.
Yeah.
How many Grateful shirts do you have? We were talking to Liz on Sunday, your wife Liz,
Yeah.
about your yellow track outfit.
Yeah. I kept telling my son when we went trick-or-treating I was Yellow Man.
That's what she said. And
and you called me monochromatic on the podcast
monochromatic,
that day.
right? Yeah. Yeah. I think I said, I was like, you like that outfit? And she was like, eh. She didn't seem to deny it, but she didn't seem enthused either.
Yeah.
But I was, I didn't tell you that it reminded me of a Mafia track outfit. Rachel and I.
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rachel and I watched this documentary, and it was about Mafia when Mafia was a thing. I think it's still a thing. It's just not as prevalent.
It's different, yeah.
It's different now. So this is when, they had the bosses and the Godfathers
hidden,
and stuff.
like
But these guys
MSG.
were, yeah, that's right. They don't call it the Mafia anymore. They call it yeast extract.
That's right.
That's what it is. These guys wore a lot of the outfits like you had on.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And I meant to mention that when I saw it, but it looked cozy.
Yeah, it was. And you match from head to toe, and Liz is just used to it.
How do you
after 10
pick
years.
shoes when you're all yellow like that? I didn't notice the shoe selection.
That was all accidental. I did have yellow shoes on.
Did you really?
In that picture I sent you.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
had those yellow New Balances on, and
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I
you
had
got those.
purchased those previously for fashion and athletics.
How was trick or treating? We've spoke in person, but
Oh yeah, we got
our last episode was on Halloween. You guys made it out, Mark, right?
Yeah, we made it. It went well.
How was the pool?
The community pool.
Right.
No, we had a good time. Yeah, we made it almost the full 2 hours, not quite. It started to get windy at the very end. We had a good time.
Did people recognize John Calvin?
What's that?
Did
Oh,
people recognize John Calvin?
yeah, Cece
Luther?
doesn't do a good John Calvin. I've learned that.
You're trying your best.
And you guys went, and Chad
Yeah, so
went as Yellow Man.
in what was Yellow Man?
Did Liz
and-
dress up at all for you?
No. Nope. We just had to run. She came from work, and then it was planned to go to. The plan was to go to Ledger's little friend's neighborhood and pass out some candy because they're only 2 and 3,
Yeah.
so they're not going to be chewing most candies out there.
Most candies. Yeah.
But impromptu, he noticed that all these kids were coming up getting candy in a bucket. He found a bucket and then started running away. So
Yeah.
we had to take him, and he suddenly wondered or realized this is an awesome holiday. I get to go
Yeah.
up to everybody's driveway, and they say, take all of this chocolate. It's cold out here, and I'd like to go in.
Yeah.
So he could just take, handfuls.
How old is he? He's
He's 2.5.
okay. Is he speaking at all? Trying to get anything out yet?
Oh, yeah.
Is he?
All
Okay.
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it intelligible? Like, can you understand it? Some of it. What?
Yeah.
So did he try to say trick or treat to these people?
Oh, yeah. He was saying
Yeah.
trick or treat, happy
Oh, that's great.
Halloween, chocolate.
Yeah, that's the best one.
Give me chocolate was his favorite phrase.
Give me chocolate.
We had to start teaching him trick or treat or happy Halloween.
Yeah, yeah. The demanding.
'Cause it
Although
was-
at
yeah.
his age, you can get away with that.
Yeah.
When you're really young, and then I think when you're really old, you can get away with being slightly demanding.
Yeah.
Not us.
No.
No, we're in that middle
Yeah.
thing. We went out. It got really cold
Mm-hmm.
by us at like 6:45, and it was like walking home and
Yeah.
30 mile an hour winds, and the temperature dropped by like 20 degrees. The last like half a mile walk was pretty miserable, but
Overnight, as it should be, we got the snow,
we did.
and it welcomed us into Christmas.
Yeah.
It's as it should be on Halloween.
Do you like snow or no, Chad?
I like the look of it, but after 3 months of it,
Yeah.
you get tired of it pretty quick.
Yeah.
Hate driving in it.
Yeah. Are you a winter guy?
Yeah, I'm okay with winter.
You're okay? You don't mind it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care for it. Well, I think we're done talking about the weather.
Yeah. Get your vitamin D this season.
It's your vitamin D this season. So, last week we had a very special Sunday, and it went great. I was very excited about this. Mary and Wallace Kamal from Missions of Hope, they're the founders of Missions of Hope International, came in town. They hadn't been here since 2016, and last time they were here, it's they as in Missions of Hope. It was just Mary, and we didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to meet Wallace, her husband. So this was a very special trip. They have broken away, and for those that don't know what Missions of Hope International is, it's a mission in Africa, in Kenya, that provides all kinds of things for kids. Education, schooling is their primary thing, but they partner with churches. You sponsor kids, and I'm giving you a very Cliff's Notes version of it. Go look it up online. It's a pretty amazing organization, one we've been partnered with for the last 8 years. Bob has been partnered with for 14 years. And so they were here on Sunday, and we got some updates from them. And then it was a child sponsorship Sunday. Our school is the Mathare North School in Nairobi, and there's about 900 students there, and there were about 300 unsponsored kids there. And so Marion Wallace came in, and we had a wonderful response. People really, really turned out, and we'll give you some updates on Sunday as to those numbers. I will tell you, we're going to have the table out another week. So if you didn't feel that level of comfort, or you had to, run somewhere, but over the past week you've been praying on it, and you feel the Lord pressing on you that you want to sponsor a kid, you can do that on Sunday as well. We'll have those same forms and pictures available so people can fill that stuff out. But the response was just overwhelming, and it was so great to just spend some time after Saturday night. Mark, you were here, and we were here with Marion Wallace and a group of about 25 people, maybe.
Yeah,
about 25 people that are considering going back to Missions of Hope on a missions trip. And so it was great just to spend some time with Marion Wallace then. And then after church, we got a chance to go out and eat some Mexican food with Mary and Wallace. Went to Don Ramon. That's Bob loves taking people to Don Ramon. That's where you were courted, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And
That's the first time we met. Do you really?
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. They completely changed their menu.
Well, I'll take it. It was great.
They had this Mexican stew that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Bob turned me on to, and gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
It's just what happens for you.
I got to tell you.
Taco Bell, Don Ramon.
Yeah.
So this guy likes it. Get rid of it.
That was the entire. I believe I was the catalyst for the destruction of the Midway Mall in Elyria. Like, I started really enjoying places like the TGI Fridays. Gone.
Sounds like a Goosebumps title.
The Ground Round. Gone. Fazoli's. You guys like Fazoli's?
Yeah.
Used to love Fazoli's.
Never heard of her.
It's a fast casual.
Fast food Italian.
Fast food Italian.
Yeah. That's like the big tomato is
Yeah.
the logo.
The
Yes.
breadsticks that were
breadsticks,
Gotcha.
half soaked in butter
I've
and
never
garlic. Oh boy, it's incredible.
Sounds like.
But they're all gone.
Oh.
Yeah. You missed out. It's too late for
There
you.
was definitely one in Mansfield when I lived in Ashland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one I've been to.
Okay.
We almost went to Shake Shack yesterday,
Oh,
but we decided not to.
we went
You
to
and me?
I went to Freddy's.
No.
Oh.
Rachel,
Great.
did you like Freddy's?
I might prefer Freddy's to Shake Shack, which is
I do enjoy Freddy's. He gets passionate about this. Did you try the cheese curds at Freddy's?
no, I didn't.
Oh boy.
But I did have. They just brought out the peppermint Oreo milkshake.
Okay.
I had that with my burger and fries.
Yeah. What burger
Killer.
did you get?
Just the classic #1.
This is
It was a double.
okay, the
cheeseburger.
double steak. Yeah. burger,
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. The lady at the drive-thru got real frustrated with me. Not frustrated, but for our first time there, and everything's called a steak burger.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, can I have a steak burger with cheese, a double steak burger with cheese, single steak burger with cheese? I kept saying with cheese, and she was finally like, sir, they all come with cheese. And I was like, I did not know that. And she's like, well, all the pictures show the burgers with cheese. I was like, I'm really sorry about that. But needless to say, we ate some Mexican with Marion Wallace, and just got to spend some time with them. You see how that goes?
And we're back.
And we're back. And so thankful for them and their ministry.
Yeah.
We don't partner with a lot of different missions organizations or missionaries. and I've shared this on the podcast in the past, we would rather partner with fewer and then be able to make a massive impact for them. And so we've put a lot of resources, financial resources, time resources into the partnership. And it was just great to be able to see some of that and for our people to be able to lay eyes on Marianne Wallace. And it was definitely a powerful Sunday. They showed a couple of videos, and these things, like I said on Sunday, they're hard to watch. We've all got kids, and the thought, I told Rachel, like I went up to that wall, I wanted to adopt every one of them. I didn't want to just sponsor them. Like, you want to take them in and then love on them, because they literally have like nothing. They don't have anything. And we have everything. And so I found it to be a very emotional Sunday, I think, as well. I think a lot of people were touched. And I was very grateful for that, because that produces a call to action for people. And so, again, we're excited to share some updates on Sunday. But Marianne Wallace are back in Arizona now. They'll be there till the end of November, and then they're headed back to Africa as well. So a wonderful Sunday. This Sunday we will pick back up in Timothy. We're going to be in 1 Timothy chapter 4, taking a look at the key ingredients of the church, talking about what Paul has for Timothy and us today as far as how to be a healthy church. But today, let's talk about demons.
Yeah.
We have a very demon-themed.
Or angel-themed.
I don't know. There's a lot of demon stuff.
Angels and evil angels.
Yeah, we'll say angels.
Yeah.
We should have done this for the Halloween episode. That would have been, no. You guys don't care for that. That's fine.
We got to do a trick-or-treat follow-up. It works.
It does.
Still on brand.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. It seemed like we had a few questions come in dealing with angels and demons, fallen angels. And this is an interesting topic. I will say that it's been some years for me since I've really dove deep into this topic. And I think part of that is because there's so little information in Scripture. There's a lot there, but it's hard to decipher. There's a lot of angelic activity, demonic activity, but the ins and outs of how it all works can be pretty complex. And I think for a lot of people, movies and television and books have certainly colored what we think Satan is, who we think he is, how he presents, what demons are. It takes all of about 2 seconds of a walk with your kids down a trick-or-treat lane to see what the movies have decided the Prince of Darkness looks like, what angels do, what angels look like. Is there a hierarchy to angels? What does all that look like? And so it was good for me, and we got these questions in several weeks. This was what we were going to talk about when everybody got sick the week after. So we've had these sitting laying for a little bit. So let's start off. And I think a good place to start off would be, I think I'll start off because there is some question as to the origin of all this, and we're gonna get into the origin a little bit of Satan. So the first question is this: did the devil take angels with him? Did the devil take angels with him? And I have some notes. I want to take us on a little journey here. So I want to start with what most considered to be the, I would say, most comprehensive account of Satan's fall. And that'll take us to the Old Testament, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 28, starting, well, let me get there and see where we'll start here. And even this gets a little tricky for people because in this particular section of Scripture, you're talking about an actual prince, but then this prince of Tyre, but then there's certainly strong a strong case that this is also talking about the fall of Satan. So I'm just going to read the chapter here. Prophecy against the prince of Tyre. The word of the Lord came to me, son of man. Say to the prince of Tyre, thus says the Lord God, because your heart is proud, and you have said, I am a god. I sit in the seat of gods in the heart of the seas. Yet you are but a man and no God, though you make your heart like the heart of a god. You are indeed wiser than Daniel. No secret is hidden from you. By your wisdom, your understanding, you have made wealth for yourself and have gathered gold and silver into your treasures. By your great wisdom in your trade, you have increased your wealth, and your heart has become proud in your wealth. Therefore, thus says the Lord God, because you make your heart like the heart of a god, therefore, behold, I will bring foreigners upon you, the most ruthless of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of your wisdom and defile your splendor. They shall thrust you down into the pit, and you shall die the death of the slain in the heart of the seas. Will you still say, I am a god in the presence of those who kill you, though you are but a man and no god in the hands of those who slay you? You shall die the death of the uncircumcised by the hand of foreigners, for I have spoke, declares the Lord. So you've got these first 10 verses that are dealing with this prince of Tyre. Verse 11, if you have headings on your Bible, it would say something along the lines of a lament over the king of Tyre. Verse 11, moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, son of man, raise a lamentation over the king of Tyre and say to him, thus says the Lord God. And then this second half of verse 12, you get this shift. You were the signet of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of a god. This tells us right away we're not talking about a person anymore. You were the signet of perfection, full of wisdom, perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering. Sardius, topaz, and diamond, beryl, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, emerald, and carbuncle, and crafted in gold were your settings and your engravings. On the day you were created, they were prepared. You were anointed. You were an anointed guardian cherub. I placed you. You were on the holy mountain of God. In the midst of the stones of fire you walked. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created till unrighteousness was found in you. In the abundance of your trade you were filled with violence in your midst, and you sinned. So I cast you as a profane thing from the mountain of God, and I destroyed you, O guardian cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Your heart was proud because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I cast you to the ground. I exposed you before kings to feast their eyes on you. By the multitude of your iniquities, in the unrighteousness of your trade, you profaned your sanctuary. So I brought fire out from your midst. It consumed you, and I turned you to ashes on the earth in the sight of all who saw you. All who know you among the peoples are appalled at you. You have come to a dreadful end and shall be no more forever. Yowza. That's a bit of a heavy section of scripture. You get this shift, this change in verse 12 where you're clearly talking about Satan, Lucifer, being in Eden, created, God casting him out from heaven. It's pretty clear that this is language speaking about things of the past, but then it moves into this prophetic portion, what I believe to be events that have not happened. All who know you among the peoples are appalled. You have come to a dreadful end. God will end Satan at some point. By the multitude of your iniquities and the unrighteousness of your trade, you profaned your sanctuary. So I brought fire from your midst, and it consumed you. God's going to destroy Satan. So here we've got this created being, Satan, because of his beauty, because of his desire to be God, to be in the same sphere as God, the same power as God. God cast him down out of heaven. So it kind of starts there. And for me, one of the most confusing verses in all of the Bible is Ezekiel 28:15. This is me personally. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created till unrighteousness was found in you. That's pretty complex. And we're not going to get into the meat of all of that. Some translations will say, you were perfect until iniquity was found in you, until sin was found in you. That's really tough to reconcile for me somewhat. And I don't spend too much time on it. There's a lot of different ways and a lot of different interpretations, but God creates Satan. God hates sin, but Satan, and you see it happened in the Garden of Eden, right? pride, wanting to have that same knowledge of God, Adam and Eve eating the fruit. Somehow pride wells up in Satan, even though it was created by God. It's a really challenging thing to reconcile, but that's the story. So you've got the story, Satan rebels, is proud, iniquity, sin, unrighteousness is found in him. God casts him down. The question is, did he take angels with him? And this is where you got to really start to piece things together, because there's no verse in the Bible that says, and Satan took angels with him, specifically in that type of language. What you do see, and we'll turn to Isaiah chapter 14, is there is in Isaiah 14 kind of a different kind of language referring to Satan. If you look at verses, we'll start for 11. Your pomp is brought down to Sheol, the sound of your harps, maggots are laid as a bed beneath you, and worms are your covers. Verse 12, how you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven above the stars of God. Again, now we've got this language here where Satan, I believe this day star, Satan, this reference to this star is Satan and wanting to ascend above the stars of God, wanting a position over God. I will set my throne on high. I will set the mount of assembly in far reaches in the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Satan desiring to be like God. But you are brought down to Sheol, to the far reaches of the pit. Those who will see will stare at you and ponder over you. Again, this is, Isaiah, this prophecy is this man who made the earth tremble, who shook the kingdoms, made the world, and it goes on and on and on. Again, not going to get too much into this, but I want you to understand that language, that Satan now here is being referred to as a star, day star. It's capitalized in my Bible, day star of the sun. So you've got Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, all these names, and he was an angel. God designed him. He created him. Sin is found in him. He wants to be like the Most High. He wants to ascend above the Most High, and God casts him down like a star from the heavens. It gets thrown down. We know that this is Satan because of the language that Jesus uses in Luke chapter 10. If you go to Luke chapter 10, there's a verse 18, where Jesus refers to Satan with that similar type of language. Luke 10:18. The 72 returned, verse 17, with joy, saying to the Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name. And Jesus says to them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. So this idea of lightning, star, light, falling, it's all intermixed. So you've got him as a star, him as lightning falling from heaven. And that kind of reaffirms in what Isaiah says. Jesus affirming what Isaiah says. We know now that Isaiah is talking about Satan. So all that gets put in this pile. And if you move over to Revelation chapter 12, we're getting somewhere. Revelation chapter 12, verse 4 is where this idea of a third of the angels going with Satan. Starting verse 1, and a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and was crying out of the birth pains and the agony of birth. And another sign appeared in heaven, behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his head 7 diadems. His tail swept down a third of the stars of heaven and cast them to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she bore her child, he might devour it. So, there's that language again, referring to angels as stars, Satan here being described as a red dragon. And when you piece this all together, what seems to make the most sense is Satan was created. Satan was filled with pride because of his beauty, because of his position, what God had designed him for. That pride manifest in him a desire to ascend above God, to be like God, and even ascend above God. God casts Satan down, and somehow as Satan is cast down, his tail swept down a third of the stars from heaven. So this idea of his tail sweeping down? Did he take angels with him by force? Did he influence those angels and convince them? Did God cast these angels down because of their alliance? It seems to be that the sweeping of the tail would be more of not a forceful taking angels with him, but more of a convincing them to go. But we don't really know the exact answer because Scripture doesn't give us the exact answer as to how that happened. We see that God cast Satan down. What we don't see is God casting a third of the stars down. We see Satan's tail sweeping, whether or not that means he convinced them or that by force. And by force is going to be tough because he doesn't have any authority. He doesn't have any power over them. There is a hierarchy to angels. And there seems to be, different jobs and functions assigned to angels, but we don't know exactly what that means. There's a lot of different theories on that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The question is, did the devil take angels with him? Angels went with him. That's probably the best way to answer it. And it seems from this, as you piece it together, that a third of the angels went with him. Now, how many angels is that? A lot. That's all we know. A lot. There's no number. We don't know how many angels. I mean, you look at demon possession, and there's, people are possessed by multiple demons, maybe even thousands, right? Who are you? Legion, a Roman legion was anywhere from 8 to 12,000. So, if maybe one person had 8 to 12,000 demons in them, that's possible. Whatever it is, it's a lot. It's a lot. So now those fallen angels, we refer to as demons, but they're fallen angels. They were created as angels. They were created to do certain work. And again, somehow through the process of Satan's fall, Satan's pride, God casting Satan out, kicking Satan out, throwing him down from the mountain of God, how it's described in Scripture, these angels came with him. So that's my understanding. And again, it's not, you can go deeper with it and you could certainly be more thorough. And that's my view of these texts in light of what makes the most sense. But we don't get a clear cut, in order description of how things went down. So that's what I've kind of pieced together over the years, and I'm comfortable with that. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, the most clear-cut part is when Jesus says what he saw, because Jesus is a teacher of clarity.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I saw Satan, which again puts him in that position as a teacher, saying, I'm not just a man, I'm not just a teacher here. He's claiming
to be God.
He's been he's been known to forgive sins, and now he's saying, I saw Satan fall. I saw the enemy fall like lightning. Okay, that's a lot more clear. And the other ones you mentioned are, I believe all of them were some kind of vision and revelation of a human, where a human being is trying to process the information they saw that they just don't know how to put into words with clarity, because it's so over the top. It's overwhelming what they saw. We can't even imagine it, what their senses were doing, trying to take in what they saw in a revelation. So that is what we have. Now, I don't know if it's unfortunate, but the byproduct is what you're seeing, like what you said on Trick or Treat Lane. We're seeing what people fill in the gaps with and let their imaginations run wild on this darkness and demonic spiritual realm topic. And people get excited about it, and they end up dressing up in ways to scare people. And then we have movies, and we have shows, we have all this media that I don't understand it. I've been having this conversation around Halloween. I just never gotten into the gory, horror, demonic stuff. Had friend groups want to get together and watch these movies, and I just don't get it. Like, I don't want that on my mind, No. But what I've seen when people do let that media be consumed is, I actually just had a student on Sunday night. ask me and another leader a question about a group chat they were in. A person was saying, hey, I'm going through some spiritual warfare. These are teenagers trying to make sense of stuff they're feeling. What they said was that I'm hearing lies and deception, mainly about myself, and I just am going through some kind of spiritual warfare and would like some prayer. And somebody else in the group chat, not the student I have, but the student brought up, hey, somebody else in the group chat said, like, I'm kind of worried to pray about this because I don't want any spiritual warfare or demonic influence attaching to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're popping their head up like whack-a-mole, like now the devil can see me because I'm praying for this individual. So we had to walk him through. A lot of that stuff is going to be coming from movies and media and the imaginations that run wild on this stuff because we can't figure it out.
Well, some of it comes from the church too. Like, there's this whole deliverance movement, right? That you can be a faithful follower of Jesus Christ, but you've got these, and it's been described, there's been books written about it, that, your body's a temple, but there's multiple rooms in the temple, and you may have these demons hiding in these temple rooms, and so you go to these deliverance preachers, and they'll pray over somebody who is a Christian, somebody who has been given faith and believes that the gospel message, but they are still have, and they'll say, well, it's not a possession, maybe it's an oppression, but then they'll pray over it and they'll command these false spirits out as if light and dark can dwell in the same place. And so some of it's being perpetuated by the church as well.
Sure.
And there's this idea that, you pray these things out of people, and then be careful because they can come back. And so there's just a lot of convoluted and unclear when it comes to spiritual warfare. So you got a kid who's afraid to pray because they think they're going to somehow activate something. You say Bloody Mary in a mirror 3 times and Bloody Mary shows up, or Candyman or whatever it is. And all of a sudden it's the boogeyman shows up, and now you're fighting Satan, and we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the powers of darkness and this, the principalities of this world. And what does that really look like? What does spiritual warfare look like? Is it possession? Is it oppression? What is the difference between the two? So there's just so much convoluted information out there. But then you've got pastors saying, well, it doesn't matter what any of that is. Just come on in. We'll cast it out of you, and you'll be good to go. And so you get a kid that's like, well, I don't mess with this, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get the bad, mojo
Exactly.
on me. Yeah. So that's interesting. What do you think, Mark? What do you got?
Well, there's another question on this list we have here that we're not addressing, but I want to go back to it.
Yeah.
So the first question here is, can you become an angel?
And that,
Maybe for me and the way I process things, it might be helpful to go back and get like, what is an angel?
Yeah, sure.
Because I think it's worth saying explicitly that the devil is an angel.
Yeah.
Because there's just this understanding of what angels are to begin with, devil taking them or not, whoever. Like that question, can you become an angel? A lot of people think you die and you become an angel. That's not true. It's not scriptural. Angels are created beings, and they're separate from mankind. They're separate from men and women, humans. You're right. There's a ton of mystery around it. A lot of the texts regarding angels aren't super easy to understand, and the role of what they do exactly is hard for us to understand. And I think that's how God wants it to be.
Sodom and Gomorrah,
But it also, as you referenced Ephesians 6, we don't wrestle with flesh and blood. There's a whole spiritual component to everything we see going on behind the scenes. Everything that's happening in history, there's a spiritual component to it. And I think the book of Revelation is kind of like that first peek behind the curtain. We start to see this wild stuff.
Yeah.
And it's there to show us that there's so much going on behind the scenes that we don't think about a lot. And to your point, Chad, I think we don't get all the details because we can't process it, or we wouldn't be able to handle it. Or
Jesus is like, here's what happened. All the other writers are like,
and in that moment crazy. he's also demonstrating authority over it.
Yeah,
right. He's demonstrating authority over Satan.
Yeah.
So in Scripture we have angels that we're told they're angels, and then demons are angels that have fallen. They're basically evil angels. But we see this kind of we see some patterns. We see some hierarchies, like certain angels are named above other ones, like you might think of a general in an army, that kind of thing. And then we also see a mirror of that. So everything that God has done in his plan, Satan tries to mock and basically reproduce in his way.
Yeah.
He's trying to basically produce a corrupted version. He has his unholy trinity. He has his unholy angels. So we see kind of like this parallel between what God's doing, what Satan's doing. But we also view sometimes Satan to be like he's this special power. And from what we read, the passages you read and other passages, Satan was unique. He was special. He was perhaps even the chief angel before he fell, but he was still an angel.
Right.
He was still the creature and not the creator. He is not on level with God. There's not this great supernatural battle between good and evil, and like, they're boxing and it's this epic boxing match and one of them could potentially win. Satan is still the creature and he's still under God's power and under God's thumb. So did the devil take angels with him? Yes, I think he did. In fact, if you keep reading in chapter 12 of Revelation, it talks about Satan, or the dragon is referred to in that chapter, and his angels. So he has angels, he has what we would call demons. But the angels are separate from men and women. We're not going to die and become an angel. Christ didn't die for the angels. The angels aren't offered mercy and grace. That's for humans. It's God's plan for humans.
Yeah.
We're told that the angels will be judged, but they are essentially not given a chance to repent.
Right.
Satan and his angels were cast out of heaven. Their fate is basically sealed. Like their path, they're on the path that they're going to be on.
Yeah.
And then the angels that remain are in no need of mercy. So, can you become an angel? No. Did the devil take angels with him? The semantics of whether they went with him or whether they're forced to go with him, it's all under God's control. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, Chad, you're not getting your wings, buddy. Sorry about that. Wingless Chad.
So, but that also, we're
For
told.
anybody listening, just to give clarity, I wasn't ever asking.
No. You many times in my office, you're like, when do I become an angel? And I'm like, that's not how it works. Well, I want to fly.
Yeah.
All right.
Go on.
What's
Well,
that?
Go on.
Who?
I felt like we cut you off.
Oh, no, did we?
That's okay. It'll probably come back later.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Well, Chad, why don't you take the next one? All of this fits.
Yeah, this was actually a student question. The question is, does God give us angels on earth? Or in other words, do we have guardian angels? And I got to cover this question in our Q&A series with students a few weeks ago. And to Mark's point, yeah, grandma doesn't die and become your guardian angel. It's something I hear a lot. A family member passes and they're watching over you. That's not scriptural. So beyond that, just wanted to, while it was fresh in what Mark just said, I wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Where I took students first was Matthew 18:10. And a few verses in Matthew 18. And that actually coincides with the parable of the lost sheep in Luke 15, too. So that is the context. Jesus is about to go into some parables. Jesus speaks in Matthew 18:10 and says, "See to it that you don't despise one of these little ones, because I tell you that in heaven their angels continually view the face of my Father in heaven." So that's, to my understanding, the famous verse where people are going to extract "see." It would seem their angels insinuates believers are assigned a guardian angel. But in context, it's about protection. It's about protection of God's plan. Jesus is revealing his part in human history and the history of God's salvation and revelation and redemption to people at this time. So it's about the protection of God's plan being revealed to his people who are going to respond and receive Christ and not reject Christ. He goes into this parable about the lost sheep to kind of point that out. Matthew 18:12 and 14. He goes on to say, "What do you think? If someone has 100 sheep and one of them goes astray, won't he leave the 99 on the hillside and go and search for the stray? And if he finds it, truly I tell you, he rejoices over that sheep more than over the 99 that did not go astray. In the same way, it is not the will of your Father in heaven that one of these little ones perish. So he keeps saying little ones, pointing to not just like a young person, but to those, like I just said, who are going to receive Christ, the children of God who are going to respond to the gospel message and follow the good shepherd in this context. So again, it's about the protection from God's wrath for those who will respond, because we know we can't follow his law. Jesus is at this point in scripture and in human history revealing you can't follow the law. And he's going to eventually point to you, follow me, because we're not great sheep. That's a big point of it as well. We're not great sheep. We must believe, instead of trying to muster this up ourselves and figure it out, we must believe the promise that he saves us. He chooses to save us. I then took them to Genesis 12, where the Lord talks about choosing and giving faith to Abram. And that kind of kicks off the whole story of redemption. Genesis 12, 1-3, the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your land, your relatives, and your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse anyone who treats you with contempt, and all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you." So God chooses to save Abram and promises Abram that through him the world would be blessed. And God saves anyone that he chooses by grace and through faith. We receive that blessing, the promise of eternal salvation. God's our guardian. He's guarding all things as he plans and sees fit. And so Jesus is the fulfillment of that promise. He saves us. He's the good shepherd. And God told him, Abram, the plan of salvation and assured the protection of his plan. Abram didn't know the full plan. He didn't even know the name of Jesus. I don't even know how much he knows about angels. But he trusts that God's word is true and is credited to him as righteousness. He didn't know that the Savior of the world would end up being Jesus Christ, who's speaking there in Matthew 18. But now we, as believers today, get to know the plan, that it always has been Jesus who offers eternal life when we believe in him. And so I said all that to launch us then to the students into Ephesians 2, talking about our purpose and plan to attach to that those Abram verses. And Ephesians 2:8 says, "For you are saved by grace through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is God's gift, not from works, so that no one can boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared ahead of time for us to do." And reminded the students, and I'll remind everybody listening, you've got work to do as a follower of Jesus in here today. And God assures, as he did to Abraham, the protection of his plan. He tells Abraham, anybody that's going to curse you or try to assault you or do anything harmful to you, I've got it taken care of. I'm gonna protect my plan. I'm gonna guard my plan, and he's doing that for us as well. And so I thought about, like, what am I doing that God's trying to guard and take care of and assure is going to go forward in his plans in my life. And at the time, I had just tried to take take my son to 2 X-rays because we thought he broke his fingers. And I had to take him to an X-ray place, but then again, I had to take him to our pediatrician and then figure out if we need second X-rays because he injured his same finger twice. And in both situations I saw a student who had kind of been in and out of our ministry, but he goes to Westlake, and we were like all the way near the airport at this Cleveland Clinic site, an orthopedic place for kids. And the same day, same time, I run into him, and he's, again, been kind of in and out. He's been a troublemaker when he's been at youth group or any of our events. His mom and him are there. And so I was like, okay, why in the world is he here at the same exact time that I happen to be here? This is wild. And got into a good conversation to catch up with him, again, with his mom as well. just so random. I'm like, Lord, why did you place that person in our path again? And then the second one was a kid from the football team. I've gotten to be the chaplain for the football team in Avon for 3 seasons now. And this kid from Avon goes to Avon schools, is at my pediatrician in Lakewood. And I get to meet his mom and just celebrate him and you know, catch up with him a little bit. And I figured out, like, these are young people I've been given the responsibility to shepherd, right? These were like divine appointments at these medical appointments. So I'm like, was that just like a random coincidence? Or is God reminding me, I'm protecting my plan for you to shepherd these students and point them to me? That's what really came over my mind and overwhelmed me. And reminded me we've got a guardian God who guards his plans. The plan he had for our salvation, the works he planned ahead of time for us to do. And he knew I was going to be able to be in a pastoral role for this student on the football team and that goes to Westlake and comes here. He's not here often, but I've definitely gotten to preach the gospel and share the good news with this young man. And in a healthy way, I think, help redirect him when he's probably needing discipline because he's had some issues, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting to kind of see these kids walk right into our path again and go, okay, God's reminding me that there's an important, every opportunity I have to talk to these kids, it's important to point them to him. So he's guarding our plans. We don't necessarily need guardian angels to protect our plans because of that was the ultimate ending point. But then I did remind them that legend has it that the audience of the book of Hebrews were putting too much emphasis on angels. Yeah. Kind of like what we've been doing, saying maybe grandma's my guardian angel when she passes. Right. Maybe I become an angel when I pass away. And we put too much emphasis on those kinds of, I'd say, fables, things that we're extracting that aren't necessarily true, especially just from Matthew 18:10, that those in heaven, or I tell you that in heaven, their angels continually view the face of my Father in heaven. It's not like everybody's assigned that. Yeah. We put too much emphasis on that verse. These folks in Hebrews are putting too much emphasis on angels as maybe even objects to be worshipped. It says Hebrews 1:1-4. Long ago, God spoke to our ancestors by the prophets at different times and in different ways, like Abraham. In these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son. God has appointed him heir of all things and made the universe through him. The Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact expression of his nature, sustaining all things by his powerful word. After making purifications for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high. So he became superior to the angels, just as the name he inherited is more excellent than theirs. So the writer is responding to these folks that have been considering angels to be superior to the point of probably worshiping them. Mm-hmm. And so the author reminds them, Jesus is our guardian. Jesus is our Savior. Jesus' name is above every name. And it hit me, too, when Jesus is using that parable of the lost sheep in Matthew 18. And he says, I tell you that in heaven, their angels continually view the face of my Father in heaven. You look at Luke 15, it goes on to say that the angels rejoice in heaven when even one person repents and responds to Christ. That's the context of what's going on there. It's as if the angels are with God in his presence, like I'm watching the Browns on Sunday, just excited for them to score a touchdown. And one responds to the gospel message and they erupt. Yeah. And they get excited. So that's more what's going on there to my mind than we have guardian angels. We've got to remember that Jesus is the superior name above all names, King of kings, Lord of lords. And that's who we worship. And we've got to keep our focus on him, the champion of our faith, also Hebrews says.
Yeah. Angels, the role of the angel is to carry out the will of God. Yeah. That's why they exist. And primarily they do that through acting as messengers, essentially. Mm-hmm. That's the role we see what they're doing in Scripture a lot. But also through worship. They exist to worship God, but they also exist to to act as his messenger. I think you're right. That's what's being kind of pictured here.
Yeah.
That picture of them reporting to the Father, of what's going on. Like they've been sent, but it's not the angel that's guarding anybody. It's the Father.
Yeah.
It's God. Yeah.
If you keep reading in Hebrews 1, where you were at, verse 5, for which of the angels does God ever say, you are my son, today I've begotten you, I will be to him a father, and he shall be a son to me. There's this whole list. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I encourage you to do it.
Yeah.
Pick it up in verse 13, and the writer says, and to which of the angels has he ever said, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet? And then speaking of the angels, it tells us what part of what the angels are here for. Are they not, and they are the angels not all ministering spirits, sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation? In many ways, the angels will act as God's deacons. Sometimes they're doers, right? He'll send them with messages, but he sends them out to minister. What does that ministering look like? Looks like all kinds of things. We get two wonderful examples in the life of Christ. Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane. He is, filled with despair because of what's coming. We talked about this during the Suffer Well series. Part of suffering well is having that moment where you're acknowledging what's about to come. Luke 22, what happens? In Luke's account, an angel shows up. An angel showed up and strengthened him. It's interesting. Think about Jesus in the wilderness, right? Going through the temptation of Satan. And that's such an interesting picture because it shows you, again, like Job does, Satan's role, Satan's place. Like Satan has no authority. Yeah. Satan's saying to Jesus, like, whatever you see, I'll give to you. That's dumb. And that's the insanity of Satan. We can't forget he's nuts as well. But at the end of that, Jesus had fasted for 40 days, and who shows up to minister to him? Angels.
Yeah.
So part of what they do is minister. Now, how does that ministering take place for us today? I don't know. I don't know the specifics of it. We know that angels exist. We know that God, they're not just sitting idle. I wouldn't presume that. But Scripture tells us that, some will entertain angels and not even know it. We know that angels can take on the form of human beings. We see that in Scripture, right?
We see that at the tomb of Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we just read it on Sunday in Acts chapter 1, verse 8. The two men in white robes sing about Daniel when he's praying and fasting, and God sends that angel, and you may get into this, the prince of Persia, and couldn't get there, and it's confusing. But how does it manifest today? Well, we can know that they're still there, they're still ministering, but it's not like you have one assigned to you. It's not like the buddy system. To me, they're not I don't know how doctors use guys. Use guys. Hey, I don't know what doctors use guys sees, but
Italian angel.
That's right. How you doing? I'm Vinny the Angel. All that to say that at the end of the day, like we've been talking about, a lot of this is a mystery, but there is no specific guardian angel. Oh no, never mind. Jared, start here. Sorry. I don't know if you guys have a specific PCP, primary care physician, but that physician is assigned to you. You say, that's my doctor, or there's some healthcare systems where you see a team of doctors, and whoever you can get in with, you get in with. I think it's probably more like that. If God knows what we need, and he'll send us what we need, if he's to send it through an angel, and why he uses that system, I don't know. Somebody asked me one time, why did God create the angels? The answer has to be for his glory, right? Because that's why he created everything. But God is not wanting anything. He doesn't need anything. He's chosen to send certain messages through angels. He chose to strengthen his son himself through an angel. It's part of how his glory is revealed. Again, that first part of God's character that gets revealed to us in Scriptures, if you read it, as it's laid out, Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created. So God's a creator. He created angels. He did it for his glory, for his satisfaction, and he uses them. Does he need to use them? Of course not. He can get anything done that he wants to get done, but this is a system that he chose. And to affirm and echo what you guys echoed, like, there's mystery here for a reason. There is a fourth dimension, if you will. There is. If this is true, the Bible, and there are these beings that can come in and out of some type of world, existence, dimension, whatever you want to say it, to function through life, to know the intricacies of that is kind of terrifying. It was Elisha, right? That his servant's eyes were opened.
Yeah.
And terrifying. You think about when Balaam's eyes were open. The donkey's like, dummy, stop. And then all of a sudden God opens Balaam's eyes and he sees an angel with a sword, right? So I'm good with what we got. I really am, because my finite mind, and I as a kid saw just one maybe 30-second clip, because I walked in my friend's house, of a Friday the 13th movie with this hockey mask, onesie wearing, machete wielding psychopath. And that image, that's how I would describe the movies.
It's wearing a onesie.
It's all yellow.
It's all yellow. It says ungrateful on it.
Ungrateful.
But I saw like a few seconds of that, and it messed me up. Right?
Yeah.
I don't really want to see what's going on out there. But again, I think, and I've said this before in sermons years ago, if you met Satan, depending on how Satan would want to manifest himself, but you would love Satan. He'd be your pal. I don't think he's going to show up with horns and a pitchfork. He's going to show up and he's going to wine and dine you. He's going to schmooze. He
presents as an angel of light.
Right, an angel of light. He's going to convince you, and this is why you see what's happening in the church, because God is allowing Satan to influence many in the church, which is why you get all this false doctrine out there. Who's doing that, right? Our sin nature, of course, but that's the enemy's go-to move. If we can tell people who, would say Ephesians 2:8-9, I've been given, faith and grace, and it's not of me, and be like, man, but you got a spirit. You got this false spirit. You have a spirit of confusion in you, and we want to cast out the spirit of confusion. If we can start doing that, and all that does is magnify and give power to something that at the end of the day, like you said, Mark, is ultimately powerless. Ultimately, it's created. All God has to do is just think. Just think, and Satan's wiped off the whole system. You shake the Etch-a-Sketch whenever you want and clear out the picture. These things don't really have any power, but we're sitting there telling Christians, like, we got to get this out of you, as if it's some type of foreign alien.
Right. And
then what that does is that magnifies who? The powers of darkness. And it also magnifies a lot of these preachers. I heard, a lot of that language. I command you in the name of Jesus, get out. I command you. Ooh, you command? You don't command anything, right? We pray in the name of Jesus. God, if it be your will, in the name of Jesus Christ, we ask you to heal this person. We ask you to do this because he's the guardian. But all that is Satan disguising himself as an angel of light.
Yeah.
Seems like the right thing to do. It seems like a good thing to do. But then it just winds up being, completely evil. So if you met Satan, if you met demons, I don't know. I don't think you'd be all that terrified. I think, and that's part of the danger, is that, we have commercialized evil, and gone, evil is very recognizable. Evil is a guy in a mask, onesie carrying a machete. Evil is a murderer, or evil is a corrupt person, and no, evil is much more clever than that. Which is why we see so many of us struggle, because it's subtle. Evil is the internet. Evil is the ad, or, on a website for a clothing line for women, right? That a guy who's struggling with lust, it just manifests and sees that image, and then it gets his lust going. Like, it's subtle. Evil is very subtle at times, and that's what gets us in trouble, is we're looking for this magnanimous thing when it's this often small thing. It's that lie, it's that whisper, it's that thought. And so much of that comes from our own sin nature. That's what James tells us. I remember I was using Bible Gateway years ago, and an ad popped up on the left side of the screen, and it was a woman in a swimsuit. They were trying to sell a swimwear line. And I'm sitting here trying to read the Bible, and as a guy who has struggled with lust over the years, right there was an ad. And I thought, that's evil. It's subtle. It seems benign. But for a person that struggles and fails in that area, it's that subtle thing. So evil has all different kinds of faces.
Yeah. What is clear from Ezekiel that you read was that he attaches himself to the empires of this world that are going to seduce people to him.
Yeah.
And it's invisible. That's the empire of consumerism right there, the empire of what your eyes are going to go to.
It's social media telling you need to look a
Yeah.
certain way or
Sure.
have a certain number of followers. And it's these subtle pursuits.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was making you laugh? I want to know.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Can you tell me after?
Oh, you just said clothing line, and I
Oh,
just
yeah.
like the theme of grateful. It's just
Right.
like that's like we're basically endorsed by them.
Right. Yeah.
I just thought that's where that was going, but
No.
it's not even close.
No, mine got much more.
Not even close.
It's darker.
Yeah, like what Chad said, what he read from Hebrews sounds weird to us. I think the first time we read it, it's like
Yeah.
why do we need? What do you mean Jesus is better than the angels? Of course he is.
Right.
But it's demonstrating that authority. Christ is better than the angels, and if he's better than the angels, then how much better, even further, is he still over demons? Because we don't want to know all the details. We don't want to see it all, because it would mess with us. In Revelation, John is given all of his visions through a proxy angel,
Right.
and a couple times throughout the book, he turns around and worships the angel, and the angel basically backhands him. He's like, cut it out. Like quit doing this. Like
Daniel, same thing. Right?
Don't worship me. Worship God. I'm a servant too. Like John. Like this is
Right.
John. The John. Like the man. Like, and he's like getting confused and worshiping an angel
The John.
because he's seeing it. Because he's seeing something that we don't get to see.
Right.
He's seeing this revelation that we haven't seen, and he doesn't know what to do with it. And so we as Christians, we don't have any reason to be scared of demons. We don't. That's part of, I think, what you referenced with the parable of the lost sheep with Hebrews. Everything you're building drives that point home, that Christ has come with authority over everything.
Yeah.
And greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Meaning Christ is greater than all of this. And as Christians, we are empowered with the Holy Spirit, and we don't have to worry about things like this. Not that we don't have to worry about it. I shouldn't say we don't have to worry about it. Well, we don't have to worry about it, but we do need to be cognizant of it.
Yeah, aware of it.
We need to be aware of it. That's what Ephesians 6 is getting at. Yeah. We need to be mindful that the spiritual realm that underlies everything is really the cogs that's moving history. From the Tower of Babel to ultimately through Rome, ultimately to Babylon, that'll be destroyed in the end. It's referencing this empire, this almost, this time overarching empire network that's working against God. And at the head of that is Satan, and at the head of that is Satan's army of demons. And so like when we look at things like Ezekiel, we have to remember that was written to a specific audience, and it has meaning. The city of Tyre was a very worldly city. It was a very prominent, wealthy city, a very powerful city. And the king of Tyre was a person, and he is being addressed there. And we're getting just a peek, a little revelation behind the curtain, seeing the spiritual forces that are at play, that are really turning the cogs of history. Angels are not simply, there to to pick us up when we fall or to,
Stop the car from running us over.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. They are doing God's work of moving history along.
Yeah.
Everything we see physically, I believe this, everything we see physically has a spiritual reality. Everything. And God, it's a measure of God's grace that we don't see it because we wouldn't be able to handle it.
Look at the thorn in the flesh. I was given a messenger of Satan to torment me. That's what Paul says. A messenger of Satan.
That's how we know he was married.
Oh, yowza.
Ew.
Ew. Use guys.
Hey, forget about
How you
it.
doing? How you doing? Track suit. I'm like yelling track suit.
Gabagool.
Yeah.
All right.
Last
I
question.
think I just got canceled
No, by your wife.
by my wife.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it's probably the best. You have aged harshly.
Swiftly
Brandy
and harshly.
deserves better.
That's true.
Swiftly. Did she really say swiftly?
Well, no, that
Okay.
was my
I was going to say, you don't hear a lot of folks saying swiftly.
no, I punched it up a
You
little.
punched it. Okay. Yeah. Which I'm fine with for comedic purposes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, the intent was that. That was the intent.
Well,
no, she said it much gentler and softer
Oh,
and
yeah.
kinder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I turned it into, the
yeah. She's got you a little Just for Men and some wrinkle cream. Maybe just a little bit of this would be good.
yeah.
Oh, man. That's great.
Forget about it.
All right. Last question.
This one has to do with angels.
Demon question.
What'd you say?
This one has to do with angels.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In your Suffer Well sermon series, you mentioned the sermon series Be Strong. And Be Strong, you mentioned the book of Daniel. And you discussed Daniel chapter 10, how the angel comes to answer Daniel's prayers and said, oh, this is addressed to you, Neil. I didn't preach this sermon.
I know.
You're
but
the
you're
you.
gonna answer it.
Yeah. I was trying. Daniel's prayers says he had been trying, but he was opposed for 21 days due to the angel prince of the kingdom of Persia. My question is, what does the Bible say for current day Satan's angels, parentheses, demons, being over specific territories, like the angel of Persia mentioned in Daniel chapter 10? All right. Well, let's read Daniel chapter 10.
I love this story. This one, I don't know, for whatever reason, even as a young man, like this really stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Daniel is an apocalyptic book, or at least there's apocalyptic sections of
Right,
it.
yeah.
And that means it says, it talks about things that are going to happen much later. And it's also Revelation's the predominant apocalyptic book in the Bible. And as we've already talked about, we get that peek behind the curtain. So in the book of Daniel, we get a little bit of that too. We get a little bit of this peek behind the curtain of the spiritual element of history. And that's on full display here in chapter 10. We'll read chapter 10. Let's just read it all. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia. All right, so let's stop there. So he's putting it in a context of his historical, physical context.
Yep.
Dating it. The 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a word was revealed to Daniel, who was also named Belteshazzar, and the word was true, and it was of great conflict. And he understood the word and had understanding of the vision. So that's the introduction to what we're going to read about in chapter 10. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning for 3 weeks. I ate no delicacies, no meat or wine entered my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all for the full 3 weeks. On the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was standing on the bank of the great river, that is the Tigris, I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a man clothed in linen with a belt of fine gold from Uphaz around his waist. So he looks up and he sees, behold, a man clothed in linen. That's language we also see in Revelation for the messenger that is sent to John to reveal a vision to him. So this man clothed in linen is an angel, most likely. Other instances in Revelation kind of give this man clothed in white linen relates to Jesus, an appearing of Jesus, but it's kind of that description, but taken to the 10th degree, like it's more extreme. So this man clothed in white linen with a belt of fine gold were probably an angel. His body was like beryl, his face was like the appearance of lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and the sound of the words like the sound of his words like the sound of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me did not see the vision. But a great trembling fell upon them, and they fled to hide themselves. So I was left alone and saw this great vision, and no strength was left in me. My radiant appearance was fearfully changed, and I retained no strength. Then I heard the sounds of his words, and as I heard the sounds of his words, I fell on my face in deep sleep with my face to the ground. And behold, a hand touched me and set me trembling on my hands and knees. And he said to me, O Daniel, man greatly loved, understand the words that I speak to you and stand upright, for now I have been sent to you. And when he had spoken this word to me, well, first of all, now I've been sent to you. That's a picture of an angel. An angel, the word, the Hebrew word for angel has this implication of being sent, a messenger that's sent on mission, like to do something for God. When he had spoken this word to me, I stood up trembling. Then he said to me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself before God, your words have been heard. I think this is referring to the 3 weeks he's talked about at the beginning of the chapter. He's trying to encourage him, to strengthen him. And I have come because of your words. The prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I was left there with the kings of Persia, and came to make you understand what is to happen to your people in the latter days. For the vision is for the days yet to come. So already we're pretty confused. So the prince of the kingdom of Persia, people take that to mean kind of the prince of the kingdom of Persia. The prince is another word that's often used and applied to angels. It's applied to Satan. He's the prince of this world. So we seem to be getting this idea that the kingdom of Persia has a prince that is an angel, which would be a bad angel because it's fighting the good angel. So a demon. But Michael, one of the only 3 angels that are named in the Bible, there's Michael, Gabriel, and Satan. One of the chief princes, so chief prince, Michael is a chief angel. So we know there is some sort of hierarchy in the angel brotherhood. There's chief princes, so there's some angels that are over other angels. He came to help me, a fellow angel, for I was left there with the kings of Persia. And I've come now, he says, to make you understand what's happened to your people in the latter days. I'm giving you prophecy. This vision is prophecy. Verse 15, when he had spoken to me according to these words, I turned my face toward the ground and was mute. And behold, one in the likeness of the children of man touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke. I said to him who stood before me, O my Lord, by reason of the vision pains have come upon me, and I retain no strength. How can my Lord's servant talk with my Lord? For now no strength remains in me, and no breath is left in me. Again, one having the appearance of a man touched me and strengthened me. So we see that ministering. And he said, O man greatly loved, fear not, peace be with you, be strong and of good courage. As he spoke to me, I was strengthened, and said, let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. And when he's referring to him as Lord, this is lowercase l. So he's not speaking in the way of Lord as in Jesus is Lord. It's Lord as in the honorary title of like Mr. or Sir. Then he said, do you know why I've come to you? But now I will return to fight against the prince of Persia. When I go out, behold, the prince of Greece will come. So now there's another prince, apparently over Greece. But I will tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. There is none who contends by my side against these except Michael, your prince. So this prince comes to give this vision to Daniel about the latter days for the Israelites. But he mentions 2 other princes, the prince of Persia and the prince of Greece. So we seem to have this picture that angels, or demons rather, are assigned to certain countries, assigned to certain regions. And the question here is for current day Satan's angels, demons being over specific territories, like the angel of Persia mentioned in Daniel chapter 10. So this is really the only section of scripture where we are given any kind of angels being ascribed to a certain country. Other than things like we can maybe read it into the story of Tyre that we just mentioned, things like that. I think it really just points more toward the fact that these angels and demons are players in history. they're, as we already kind of mentioned, they're kind of turning the wheels of history, and there's that spiritual warfare going on behind the scenes. To take this one chapter and make it doctrinal and say, well, this must mean the United States of America has an angel, or maybe Ohio has an angel, or Britain, or Africa, however you want to divvy it up. I don't think that's responsible. I don't think there's enough evidence or reason to do that. This is a particular story from God's specific redemptive plan. And obviously, this is where the majority of the spiritual battle, I think, is going to be taking place. But to extrapolate this to today and say, say there is a demon over the United States,
right?
I don't see any value in it. I don't think there's enough there to definitively say that. So I would say no.
Yeah.
Inconclusive.
Inconclusive.
Results are inconclusive.
It does seem in there the evil angels have to play by the rules of time, but the angels that are messengers of God are bringing a message of future events. So they have knowledge, they have foreknowledge based on what God's given them,
right,
to give to people who are players in human history,
right?
Like Daniel at the time.
Yeah, there does seem to be some loss of they are put on a leash, to some degree. I've also noticed you never like angels sent by God will take on the form of a human, but you never see that in Scripture for demons. Demons are only show up by possession, and I'm not sure what to make of that either, because there's not enough really teaching on it. The angels are only given that ability to operate within those constraints. Mm-hmm. Like even here, like the angels are showing up and they're in the form of they're in the likeness of the children of men. Like they're given this kind of ability to present as a person or close to a person. Like the angels we see, even to the shepherds in the field to announce the birth of Christ. We see, but there's no instance in the Bible where somebody sees a demon that is not existing as part of being in a person, possessing a person.
Except in the garden. The serpent.
Well, I mean, even that is debatable.
It is, but yeah, that's the only place where you see it possible, where the serpent is Satan and
taking the form
of an angel taking the form of something other than a spiritual being.
Well, unless it's possession,
right?
Yeah,
right, yeah, and that's it. So, like you see, well, yeah, I mean, there's more instances of demon possession, but not like manifesting. There's
none that I can think of.
No, me neither. And again, other than possessing humans, the only place that you see a demon taking on another form or Satan taking on another form seems to be in the garden.
Well, and then we see Legion going into the pigs.
We do see that, yeah. That and then them taking themselves for a swim. Poor pigs.
Good way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if there's anything there, but
I don't either.
Noticed that, like that thought. The demons are clearly constrained.
Oh yeah,
like their power is severely limited. But even against, I think, good angels versus demons, angels are more powerful. I mean, here in the story, though, it seems like
that's what's so interesting.
Delayed this angel because he was fighting the Prince of Persia.
But what does that even mean?
Ultimately, it was God's will that Daniel exists for 3 weeks in that state of fasting, really, in that state of mourning, is what it says, to strengthen him.
Yeah,
and as a demonstration of faith, I think, to God.
But even then, like going back and getting Michael, like what was Michael capable of, or what did God allow Michael to be more capable of? This is part of that mystery. Yeah. And what do angels and demons fighting? What does that even look like?
Right,
they're spiritual beings. So how do you know if you win? Like if Chad and I get in a fight, I know I win.
How do you know if you win?
Like if Chad and I get in a fight, right?
Did we fight?
Well, it's like if two Supermans fighting.
I don't like your answer. I for sure think I'd win.
You probably would not. Because
You probably would not.
That's it. We're doing this.
So
Mark, Chad and I are going to fight. Will you tell us who wins?
Turn the camera off.
No, leave it on. This will be our best episode.
Oh, I don't want you to be embarrassed.
so oh man,
Oh, this is great.
forget about it.
I forgot Chad trains in the church, so.
That's right. God's on my
This
side.
is his home court. This is his home field
Training
advantage.
God's gym.
Home field. You don't know what room I'll be in.
Yeah.
So
I would let you hit me.
I just want to make it. I just want to. Maybe we could even end here, where just to make it even more confusing.
Oh, I will definitely end Chad here.
Tell us, Mark.
What are you putting a
Jude.
bow tie on this?
Yeah, put a bow tie.
No, in fact, it's the opposite. I'm just
great.
making it worse.
We're opening more up.
Jude verse 9. But when the archangel
Okay.
Michael, contending with the devil,
Yeah.
was disputing about the body of Moses,
Right.
he did not presume to pronounce a blasphemous judgment, but said, "The Lord rebuke you."
I haven't heard those verses in a long
These
time.
people blaspheme all that they do not understand. They're destroyed by all that they. So there's how they defeat ultimately the angel rebukes the demon,
Boy, it's that
devil.
you. Stop it.
contending with the devil,
Right.
disputing about the body of Moses.
Right.
What?
I know.
So
That's on one of your coffee mugs, isn't
don't
it?
don't ask a
favorite
question about
verse.
that if you're out there.
No, ask it, please. It'll be the easiest answer.
Disputing about the body of Moses.
Yeah.
Does that have something to do with the transfiguration?
So
It's been a long time since I.
Jude is actually, it's a very spiritual book. It's only one
Yeah.
chapter, but does talk about kind of is another book that kind of peeks behind the curtain.
Oh, this is something that's usually attached to
The sons of men.
the two prophets, right? In Revelation 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah. The angels who did not stay within their own position of authority but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day. Just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities, which likewise indulged in sexual immorality and pursued an unnatural desire, serve as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire. So there we get the picture that there's some sort of there's just angels fallen, demons that have fallen that are in just captivity. They're in chains right
Locked
now
up, yeah.
until they're just waiting for their sentence to be carried out in the final days.
Demon jail.
And people attach that to the Nephilim and the
Our
sons
holding
of
cell.
Yeah.
the sons of man in Genesis 6.
That's a great heavy metal band name, Demon Prison.
There was Demon Hunter.
Was there
Remember
Demon Hunter? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you get this picture, like the archangel Michael contending with the devil. Like it's a reminder that like Satan was a chief angel, and Michael's now like not the I don't know what the whole chain of command ever was, but like they're more equal than like Satan being on par with God. Like Satan's more on par with Michael than ever being anywhere close to God. Like it's that constant reminder that Satan is a creature. He is a created being. He is under the will of God. He's not anywhere near God. And that's what we need to remember too. Like because we are just as susceptible to the pride of Satan. That's the trick Satan pulled in the Garden of Eden that caused the fall of humanity. Then that's what we struggle with, is that pride of being apart from God and being better than God, but being worthy to be independent of God. And we are just as much a creature as much as Satan is a creature, a created being. And we have to remember that we must be dependent on God, our ultimate creator. So maybe that was a bow tie. I don't know.
No, it's
preach.
good. It's this is so stupid, but Satan gets created. Lucifer, Satan, Beelzebub, all these names, and then the other one's named Mike. Like,
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, how God
And his buddy Gabe.
God creates Michael, and he's like, "You're Mike," and he's like, "Mike, okay." Like,
If you're named Mike out there, it's a wonderful name.
it's a wonderful name.
we're not-
But I'm just saying, it's such a like Lucifer, which that ruined that name forever. Like, I can't imagine there's many Lucifers out there now. It's kind of like Adolf. Like, you don't meet a lot of Adolfs, right? Because there's that attachment.
Yeah.
A lot of Mikes in the world. It is a wonderful name. You wonder if anybody ever called him Mike, and he's like, Michael.
Yeah.
like just Michael.
Yeah, God was trying to give him Mike, but he was like, at least let it be formal.
That's right. Yeah. And he's look good on a resume. Yeah.
Well, like Daniel is Belteshazzar, but
Right.
they're just like, we're going to call him Daniel.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. Nobody wants to say that.
Daniel. Also Belteshazzar, but
Right.
Daniel.
Yeah, but Daniel, because we don't feel like saying that. Interesting topic today. This again, a lot of mystery surrounding all of this stuff. You had asked me on a break if Chad, Chad, for the listener, if I thought I've ever entertained an angel.
Mm-hmm.
What about you guys? Do you think you've ever been in the presence of?
It's based on Hebrews 13. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
We entertain angels without knowing it.
Yeah.
Definitely not certain, but I've had that verse cross my mind in situations.
Yeah.
Wonder if this is
So was that verse says practice hospitality,
Right.
Basically be hospitable because sometimes you entertain angels without knowing it.
Yeah.
It's another very mysterious verse
Right.
regarding this topic.
Yeah, you brought up I think it was in a sermon recently. You said, we've all gone off the highway, off an exit. Somebody's holding a sign. I'm in need. And are you convicted? Do you feel like you need to give to that person?
That wasn't me that said that.
You did say it recently.
Yeah.
On something.
Who else are you listening to?
No, it was you. You're
You're gonna have to show me.
You're getting forgetful in your old age.
Oh no!
Well, I think it gives that picture.
It gives me old man strength.
Even what you were saying about
Old man strength.
the little ones with their angels that see the face of God.
Yeah.
That's the picture again, I think.
Yeah.
Is angels being kind of like reporters, messengers, like they're relaying to God. Not that he needs
Right.
angels for his omniscience,
Yeah.
but it's that picture of he has an army.
Yeah.
He's he is the God of angel armies of the hosts of heaven.
Yeah.
Refers to angels, the armies of the angels, and he has them working and fighting for him. And part of that is like they're checking on us, and we
That's
be hospitable because they're watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
point.
what's that other verse for the sake of the angels? What is it?
Oh.
It's in Luke too. I can't remember. Anyway, should have looked it up beforehand.
I was gonna look it up now, but I feel like it's gonna take too long. I have many notifications I was already distracted by.
You have enough. It's time to end.
We'll bring it to episode 70.
Did we get a name for this episode?
Yeah, either the catalyst for the destruction of Midway Mall, the insanity
Sounds
of
like
Satan.
an indie band.
Yeah,
The insanity of what?
of Satan,
Okay.
or Demon Jail,
Demon jail.
or Angels and Evil Angels, if we wanted to actually let people know what this was about.
We could do that. It would make it easier. I'm starting to find that. Well, you did. You sent us a text, Mark and I, wondering what episode we talked about a particular topic.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't
And
find it.
good on you, man. You went back, and I was just like, I don't know,
Yeah.
and I refuse to be any help.
Well, that's a good tip for listeners. All I did was like you can actually go to our YouTube page and search just the page.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a
So-
playlist on YouTube. An
It'll
HM playlist.
search like all the videos. So even if there was like a sermon on that topic, it probably would pop up. So that's for all you kids out there. If there's something like a topic that you thought we talked about, or you can just search just our YouTube page, and that might be helpful.
Yeah. Evil onesie.
That's all I did.
Yeah. Oh, that was another one. Onesie wearing, machete wielding. What was he?
He was a hockey mask wearing, onesie wearing, machete wielding psychopath.
Psychopath.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Man, lots of good ones.
Well, something.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, thank you to our listeners and viewers. Thank you for these questions. We'll be back, hopefully. I don't know. I'm not even going to say it. We're hoping we'll be back next week. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll be back next week with some more questions. If you would like to submit a question to the podcast, you can email podcast@hopechristianchurch.com, or you can text your question to 440-HOPE-222. Thank you, Pastor Chad. Thank you, Pastor Mark. And we will see you next week, hopefully. Bye.